Malie, tangi fa, malie tangi fa, ta fai fati te fa, ai se ta tai wana I lole e fe ai mua o. Malie, tangi fa, ta fai fati te fa, ai se ta tai wana I lole e fe ai mua o. Tia lauta vale, ma fa along I pese on the radio. South Satan, tia lauta vale, ma South Satan ever ane yo. Tia lauta vale, ma fa along I pese on the radio. South Satan, tia lauta vale, ma South Satan ever ane yo. Sulu lele manue, sulu lele manue, sale la siva sale la siva lele manue, sulu lele manue, sulu lele manue, sale la siva lele manue, sale la siva lele manue.
I was told by
Welcome to the Voice of South Pacific, a live broadcast from Seattle, Washington at the Manamo'i Center, which is a Pacific Islanders broadcast for all the listeners, especially the Pacific Islanders community. Today is September 17, 2024, 1 o'clock on Pacific Standard Time. My name is Sylvia Fatima Aho, and also my co-host, Saini Poloka, will be here to help, giving out, sharing the information, back to school vaccines, and also the COVID-19, and other relevant information. Thank you for Seattle and King County Public Health for giving us the great opportunity to share this necessary information with our community abroad. Ko iai e kainga o ko mawhiwhia ka ma e whangamali koe ni, ke tau kauwhataha e ahoni. Mukata ke vahe atu e polokalama koe ni, ko inga ke tau kauwhataha. Tau te whito ke ngai mātu a ke nau mau, ngai whahinohino whikau aki, pia mo ngai huhu malu I ko ia, ki he nau ki whanau, I he whoki koe ni ki hea ko. But before we continue on, we'd like to ask Pastor Aseli, please lead us with a word of prayer as we continue on. Thank you.
Pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day, Lord, that you brought us together to come and share information of what we as a community, Lord, as we as a community people need to know. We need to hear, Father. We thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Lord, for the availability of your that are part of this, Lord, that are joining us. And we pray, Father, that you will come and just make it known in a special way, that each one of us can take back what we need to take back and to help our community get to know of what you've already done and what you can do and what we can inform them with what you're going to inform us today. Bless us, Lord, as we share. Bless this platform and also, Lord, the people that are going to be joining us together today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pula Vinaka, thank you so much. And before we continue on, I would like each and every one of us to do a little welcoming, just introduce yourself. And then before we hop on and talk about our topic, back to school vaccines. Again, my name is Sylvia. I'm the executive producer for the Pacific Islanders broadcast. Okay.
I'm Saini Puloka and I'm co-hosting the program.
I am a Seri. I'm from Fiji and I live up here in Everett, so yeah, part of this program today.
Okay, I think I see Latu. Go ahead. Okay. Latu.
Hello, I'm Latu.
Yes, we can hear you.
Advocate.
Okay, welcome Latu, welcome everyone. Okay, now I can see Kate Cole.
Hi, good afternoon. Kate Cole. I work on the communications team at Public Health Seattle and King County, and I'm just so grateful to you, Sylvia, and everyone else here for giving us so much time to talk about vaccinations today.
Wonderful. And then also Deborah Belina, so glad we have program with you in the past. We're so glad that you have time to come back and share relevant information, especially with the health, the vaccines, with the children that going back to school and everyone else.
Yeah, it's so great to see you and wonderful to be here. Thank you for making time for this.
Thank you, Deborah. And who else? I think I see whoever is the next person. I may not see everybody right now, but you're more than welcome to hop on and introduce yourself. Tiara, are you in? I think I see you. Yeah, hi Tiara, the manager of Pacific Islanders Health Board.
Ali, hello everyone.
You guys hear me okay? Hi, I'm Diela. I'm the Palawan Health Navigator, and I'm the manager for the Baby and You program with the Pacific Islander Health Board of Washington. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you, Tiara. And also your Micronesia, which native islands you're originally from?
Born and raised in the Republic of Palau.
Palau. Yeah, I forgot to mention I'm from the islands of Tonga, Tonga known as the Friendly Islands, named by Captain Cook in 1777. And Pastor Aseli is from the islands of Fiji, Pulavinaka. Do we miss anybody? Now we're going into a 10-second little song here before we continue to start. Is Lydia in? I don't see Lydia. Okay. We can go ahead and start because the King County always start right on time. Toso toso. Okay, the first question I'd like to give a chance, to our Pacific Islanders Health Board Navigator, Tiara. Yeah, you can ask the first question, and then as we continue on, in a second will be also we have Latu Wakau, and then the third one will be going to Seini Puloka, and then also Pastor Aseli. And then I will ask the fifth question. But just feel free to ask what is the relevant question that back to school vaccines. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think as a kickoff for the first question, we know that most of the kids went back to school this month or they're getting ready to go back. So what should families know about what vaccines kids need just so they're available and able to attend school?
Yeah, good question. So in general, kids are required to have certain vaccines for school here in Washington State. And the purpose is to protect them, right? To protect them from illnesses that could keep them out of school and prevent them from doing sports and hanging out with their friends, and more seriously, to prevent them from getting seriously ill, to be hospitalized or have long-term complications, or in really severe cases, preventing death. So every year, vaccines are recommended, for every student. And generally speaking, your children need to fulfill vaccine requirements when they enter kindergarten, and then again at 7th grade. And if they need to catch up on those vaccines, they can get them at any age appropriate, and they'll just want to talk to their doctor. In addition to the vaccines we recommend routinely that are required for school, there are other ones that are not required, but are really, really important to get anyway. And I'm thinking specifically right now of COVID vaccine, flu vaccine. So we are entering the time of year where those respiratory bugs are they're getting excited. They're about to step into the spotlight, and we're heading indoors. There's a lot more opportunity for us to spread illness, and since we can't be outside socializing, and so if every child gets a flu vaccine we say to get it before boo, get your vaccine before Halloween, preferably before you even buy Halloween candy, get that vaccine, and get your COVID vaccine as soon as you can. And I'm happy to say more about both of those vaccines.
Okay, thank you. So the purpose of having, multi-leaders from the communities is to get the information, and then also please you can share it in your native language to your community toward at the end of the program. But right now we wanted to get all the information that the King County wanted to share with us, and then we can share it in our native language. The next question will go to Latu Huakau. Latu Huakau, whatever, any question that you feel like you have any question to ask or any relevant question that you wanted to bring it up at this time. Thank you. Hi Latu, please unmute your phone. The
Got it.
voice is silent.
All right. My next question is, do parents have to pay for these vaccine? But I also want to add on to it, like some people who are immigrants or have homeless or no insurance. Do we have to pay for these immunizations?
This is a great question. It's on everyone's mind, and I'm glad to have some good options to share with you. So here in Washington, we're really lucky because we have what's called a universal access state. What that means is that every child age 0 to 18 can get vaccines at no cost.
Wow.
They just have to go to a healthcare provider that participates in a program called the Childhood Vaccine Program. So oftentimes they have to become a patient in order to get vaccinated, but then the vaccines are free. They may be charged a fee called an administration fee, which is a fee for giving the vaccine. But if you can't afford it, you don't have to pay. Just let your healthcare provider know you can't afford it. You can find a
Right.
link on our website to a map that tells you all of the childhood vaccine program providers in Washington, in King County. And that webpage is kingcounty.gov/find a clinic. So this is a great option. Again, all kids ages 0 to 18. In addition to that, we are lucky at King County to be partnering with an awesome organization called GoVax Kids, and they are hosting clinics in the community for families. Exactly the folks that you talked about, Latu. So for anybody, any children who live in South King County, children who are uninsured, children who are experiencing homelessness, and children who are recently have moved to the US and don't have a healthcare provider. So these are clinics that are happening in spaces like schools, YMCAs, libraries, places where people are already spending time. And
Okay.
children can get all the vaccines that are recommended at no cost. And uninsured adults can get some vaccines too. That vaccine supply is a bit more limited, but there are options. So you can find a complete list of upcoming clinics on that same webpage, kingcounty.gov/find a clinic. These are great options. A couple more I'll add are school-based health centers. So not every school district has a school-based health center, but several do. So for example, Seattle has a ton, and children can enroll or register to become a patient, and they can get vaccinations there and a range of other healthcare services at no cost. I will just note that COVID vaccine may be on people's minds right now because I'm happy to speak more about that, but at most provider locations in this moment, you're not going to find COVID vaccine for children under age 12, but we expect that to change in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you. And next question, we'll ask my co-host.
Next question is, why are vaccines important for kids in school?
Yeah. Well, I have two kids. Let me tell you, I just, they just started school a few weeks ago. Already one of them got sick, and had to stay home, got behind on things, couldn't start off fall sports. It was unpleasant for everybody, but he's fully vaccinated. And so I knew that he would be okay. Even if he turned out he just had a cold, but even if he had gotten, say, COVID or another, another vaccine preventable disease, I knew because he was vaccinated, he would have a much more mild illness. He was unlikely to end up with long COVID, unlikely to end up in the hospital, unlikely to die. If he wasn't vaccinated, I couldn't be so sure of any of those things. The other thing is, I'll just note, I'll come from a very personal perspective. I'm at the moment just temporarily immunocompromised. All is good, but I'm trying to be careful. And for that reason, my kids being healthy is really important to me right now. Because I don't want them going to school and coming home and getting me sick. And I'm fortunate because that this is just a temporary thing, but there are folks out there, a lot of kids out there who have grandparents they live with. They have young siblings that are maybe infants and too young to get vaccinated themselves. They have a parent who's immunocompromised. Maybe they're going through something like cancer treatment, or maybe they have an autoimmune condition. And for them, it's really dangerous to catch one of these diseases. So it might be mild for a kid, but very serious for a household member, or for a neighbor, or for somebody else that they're going to come in contact with. So it protects the whole family when a child gets vaccinated. And I'll just end by saying, I like to give my kids a little bit of free range, and to know that I can send them off and they can go to sleepovers and they can be part of the school play and do the track team and, sit close with their friends at lunch and share snacks and not worry about them getting sick. They could just be kids. They can enjoy what life has to offer without me worrying about them catching a very serious illness that I could have prevented. So that's kind of some of my personal motivations. And I don't want to see any kid get sick. So that's why I recommend every parent take advantage of opportunities to get their kids vaccinated.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, we'll give it to Pastor Arceli from the islands of Fiji.
Yeah, well, I think my next question is COVID. I mean, going to COVID, how are COVID rates looking right now?
Also, another great question. COVID's on our mind here at Public Health because we've seen a surge here in King County, and that's been the case across the United States. And really, we've seen cases go up all over the world. In May of this past year, we were at a historic low. We had our COVID cases, what we knew of cases were quite low. And then they increased really significantly in June, and they've kind of held steady since then. So this is why it's so important to take advantage of vaccination. So I'll mention, it's a perfect time to tell you, there is a updated COVID shot. What does this mean? It means that it's a better fit for the variants or the types of COVID viruses that we expect to circulate during the end of 2024 and during 2025. So kind of like we have a new flu vaccine every year, we have a new COVID vaccine this year to match the viruses that we expect to be in the community. And this is a real reason to go out and get vaccinated. It's available, or it's recommended for all people ages 6 months and older. I mentioned that it's going to take a few weeks before it's widely available, but you still can find it now in many pharmacies and clinics. Another reason to get a COVID vaccine now is because immunity wanes or it decreases over time. So there are some vaccines, like say the measles vaccine, MMR. You get 2 doses of the measles vaccine as a kid, and you are good for life in most cases. Sure, there are situations where somebody still gets measles after they've been fully vaccinated, but this isn't common. For most people, they're 97% protected against measles when they get vaccinated, and they don't have to worry about it again. COVID is different. With COVID, the virus changes often, and the benefit of vaccination is that it prevents these really serious outcomes, like I mentioned, long COVID, hospitalization, death. But the vaccine, when you get vaccinated, you have protection for, hopefully that the several months afterwards, but you can't count on lifelong protection. And that's why it's important to get a booster shot. So 2 reasons, just to summarize: to get vaccinated to match the variants that are circulating now, and to give your immune system a boost, to remind it that now is how to respond to the COVID virus, the viruses that cause COVID. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of like well, how about the long COVID? That's really
long COVID. Yeah. Something. Well, we don't have great data on like the rates of long COVID, but I'm so glad you bring up long COVID, because for many of us who are, for young, healthy people, long COVID may be your motivation for getting vaccinated. Long COVID can affect anyone. It is, including children, including people in their teens, 20s, 30s. Long COVID, if you're not familiar with it, is when you have symptoms that extend beyond the point where you have a negative test, you've been over the actual acute infection, but you have all these symptoms that last generally for months, sometimes years. Things like fatigue, or we hear about brain fog, where it's harder to think straight and to concentrate, muscle achiness, dizziness, headaches, and I've heard some personal stories from folks that are just really devastating. People who have had to leave their jobs, go on disability, move back in with family, aren't able to keep up with things they love, like athletics and playing music, playing instruments or doing crafts, because it's so debilitating. Fortunately, it's not super common, but I think if you asked, each of us reached out to everyone we knew, and we would certainly each find somebody who has long COVID in our networks. And because you don't know who it's going to strike and how severe it's going to be, this is a really great motivation to get vaccinated. Vaccination doesn't 100% prevent long COVID, but it's wonderful. It's the best prevention we have.
Okay.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll give a chance to please introduce yourself. Alinda Alec. She's also from the PI Health Board. Sorry, but you were joining us a little bit late. You can introduce yourself and ask a question. Alinda?
Yakwe, I'm from Marshall Island. I'm Alinda Alec, and I'm a ELF navigator working with Pacific Island Airport, along with my assistant manager, Piela. And so should I ask any kind of question about vaccination?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
We have Deborah Belina. Deborah, she's the vaccines in charge, for the Seattle and King County Public Health. Deborah. Go ahead.
One of several people.
Hi, Deborah. It's nice having you. is there any disadvantages and advantages of getting the vaccine?
Yeah. So are you wondering about any particular vaccine or just in general getting vaccinated?
In general, for
Yeah.
the students.
Yeah, this is a good question. It's definitely on people's minds, right? Like, is this a good choice for me? Is it a good choice for my kids, my family? Um, and there, things to bear in mind when you get yourself or your family vaccinated are there can be mild side effects. These are quite common. Many of us have felt sore in the arm is the most common thing. Sore at the place you got vaccinated, very, very common. Feeling fatigued or tired, even having a low-grade fever, that's very common. And it's totally normal to think, oh gosh, this vaccine made me sick. But that's not actually what's going on. What's going on is that your immune system is responding. So vaccines basically teach your immune system how to fight off a virus or a bacteria without actually getting you sick with the disease. But it's like a practice drill. So your immune system is like, I'm ready, I'm going to fight this thing off. And maybe you get a fever that's, about 100 degrees. Maybe you get muscle weakness. But the good news is you're better in a couple days or less. And you never actually had that virus or that illness, that disease. It may feel like you were sick, but you weren't. You were just getting your immune system primed or activated. So these are things to bear in mind when you go in for a vaccination. It can be hard if you're a parent or grandparent and you take your kid in and they seem wiped out afterwards. You might think, oh gosh, I made a mistake. This was, they seem really unhappy. But take confidence, take assurance that in the vast majority of cases, this is just a normal immune response. It shows that the vaccines are working and they will be totally fine. And they have avoided this disease. There are always, like any medication, there's always a very, very, very small chance of a severe response, on the order of, for most vaccines, 1 in a million that you'll see something like an allergic response. And while that is scary, the chance of having that kind of severe outcome is so much smaller than the chance of your child getting a disease and having adverse or negative health impacts because of it. So those are the things I would be thinking about. I don't see it as a downside, but sort of something to just be aware of, that vaccines do have side effects, that they're usually almost always mild, that they will clear up, and they don't mean that you got the disease.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you have any more questions on that, I'm happy to answer.
I have a question again. My question is it safe for those disabled children to get vaccines? Is there any specific vaccination that will affect them, or they will have sudden reaction to it, or for the disabled one?
Any vaccines that are a little more likely to cause a reaction than other ones? Is that what you
Yeah, and is it safe for those disabled children to get?
Sorry, do you mind repeating that? Is it safe
for the disabled children to get any vaccine, or do they have to
yes,
doctors have to go through some trials or something?
Yeah. So great question. So on the whole, I wouldn't say that there are, vaccines. Some vaccines are more painful than others. For example, when a child gets the HPV vaccine at age 9 or 10 or 11, it sometimes hurts their arm a little bit more, and it's something to be aware of. But there's no added risk from that. It's just a little bit more of a sore arm. On the whole, all the vaccines that are recommended for children are recommended because they have been thoroughly tested, in many cases for decades. And we have a system in place that operates for newer vaccines too, like the COVID vaccine or the RSV vaccine, where anytime someone has a reaction, they can report it. They can report it to basically to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, which is like our national public health system, or public health department. And the CDC keeps track. And when they see trends, when they see that a handful or a lot of people are reporting some side effect, they will take action. And sometimes they'll change the recommendation. And, I'll give you an example. It used to be several decades ago that the people would get a vaccine against whooping cough that had to simplify things, it was a different formulation, a different type of vaccine than we get today. It worked better, but it caused a lot of side effects. So kids would feel ill afterwards. And people were giving feedback on this and were concerned about it. This was, I think, in maybe the 80s. The 1980s. And so the CDC sometime in 20, 30 years ago, changed the recommendation and made it so that we use a much sort of weakened form of the vaccine to prevent pertussis, to prevent whooping cough. And as a result, we need to, there are many fewer side effects. The downside is protection doesn't last as long. But my point is that public health experts, the CDC, other organizations that are making these decisions around vaccine recommendations are taking into account what is the real life experience for people, right? We're not just trying to prevent disease, we're also trying to make it so that kids are feeling okay afterwards, and that the benefits outweigh the risks, right? So when there are negative impacts from when there have been more risks than tolerable for a given vaccine, historically and to the present day, changes are made in real time to adjust. So it gives me a lot of confidence knowing that it's not just that a vaccine is recommended and that no one pays attention, right? Our public health experts, medical experts are paying attention every single day and adjusting recommendations as needed. You asked also about kids with disabilities. And this is a conversation I would recommend that parents, caregivers, have directly with their child's healthcare provider, because it varies. So there are some health conditions where vaccines may not be recommended. Certain vaccines may not be recommended, or a different type of a vaccine may be recommended. And then there are other conditions like, say, RSV. RSV is a type of virus that shows up for most of us kind of like a common cold, but can be very, very dangerous for young children and also for older people. Well, if you have certain disabilities, as a baby, for example, with cystic fibrosis, may need an additional shot of RSV vaccine or an additional RSV immunization. And so the needs are going to vary based a lot on what the particular health condition is. And that's where I suggest, everybody consult their own healthcare provider for guidance. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Yeah, great questions.
Thank you. I think I got Brenda Collected is also working, with the King County. Brenda, thank you so much for joining us. You can go ahead and ask a question about back to school vaccines and about any related question about the school vaccines or the COVID. Brenda, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Yahweh, everyone. I'm sorry my camera is not working right now, but I am from the Marshallese community. So I'm going to ask this. how convenient or how accessible are the vaccine for kids that they're going back to school? Because as a Marshallese, I am not good at like updating my children vaccine. So by the time the school is like, I need that by tomorrow, which I cannot get an appointment by tomorrow. So how accessible that we can get to the vaccine?
Well, Brenda, I want to tell you, you are not alone. I don't think it has anything to do with your background. I think that's just the human experience, is that, it's hard to stay up to date on things, especially when you're keeping track of your own health and your kids' health and work. And so don't feel bad about any of that. It's a great question. I think we talked a little earlier about different options for kids. The main thing I can draw your attention to right now for like quick, accessible options is we're helping to support mobile vaccination clinics. These are taking place in schools, I mentioned like YMCAs and churches, all different spots. They are open to kids who live in South King County, kids who are experiencing homelessness, kids who are, have recently moved to the US, don't have a doctor, and kids who are uninsured. So there is a list on our website, kingcounty.gov/find-a-clinic. The first tab says upcoming vaccine clinics, and you'll want to click on that. And you can see that there are many clinics. And we are adding to that list all the time. So through December of this year, we are going to, and possibly beyond, we're going to keep adding dates. I know that there are several dates. I think there were 16 clinics in August. There are many scheduled for September, and they'll just continue on. I think that's your best option if you need vaccines right away. If that is not preferable, also highly recommend making an appointment with your child's doctor, or whatever kind of healthcare provider you see. And what the benefit of that is that you can also get other health needs assessed at the same time. So maybe you need a sports physical, or maybe you have questions about your child's growth, right? Are they growing at the right pace? Or maybe your child has, like my 12-year-old had a visit with his doctor yesterday and talked about puberty, which is something that I didn't feel like I had the best advice for a 12-year-old boy about. So, that was a benefit. And if you have a baby or a young kid, there are things that we don't always know or pick up on as parents. So it's a great opportunity to have your healthcare provider sort of assess and look at your child's overall health. If you need help finding a healthcare provider, or getting health insurance, we have a great service through King County. Have you heard of the Community Health Access Program? It's there's a free telephone service. They offer advice over email as well. And Kate, would you mind putting the contact information in the chat? You can write to them and they can help you in a variety of different languages.
Thank you so much, Deborah. And I'm sorry if it was mentioned earlier, but this is what happens when you come in late.
No problem. It's worth repeating. I mean, if I can have you walk away knowing one thing, it's where to get vaccinated for sure.
And with that, what other vaccinations should people be thinking of taking it this fall? Did anybody bring that up already?
Yeah, we talked about the importance for
oh my
all
goodness,
of us.
I'm so late.
No, you are good. And honestly, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to say this again, because I love to get this message out. So there are three diseases that we really think about at this time of year. One is COVID. COVID is kind of an all year thing we've seen. It never really goes away, but we have a booster shot you can get now. Another one is flu. Flu season is usually November to as far out as April often. So getting your flu shot, I was mentioning earlier before Halloween, is a good way to go. And then another one we think about is RSV. RSV is recommended. I didn't mention this earlier, but RSV vaccines are recommended for seniors, everybody age 75 and older, also for anyone age 60 to 74 who has an underlying health condition that puts them at high risk, things like a chronic heart or lung condition, diabetes, obesity, being immunocompromised, and for also recommended for pregnant individuals. So between the 32nd and 36th week of pregnancy. And what that does is it gives immunity to the baby. So when the baby is born, they are protected, and you don't have to worry during the first few months of their life that they're going to get RSV. Now, I will also note that there is something called an RSV immunization. Another name for it is nirsevimab, if you ever hear that, that can be given to babies right when they're born, like in the first week of life. If the birthing parent didn't get vaccinated during pregnancy, this can be given to babies. It's a little bit different than a vaccine. So instead of I was mentioning how vaccines work earlier, they sort of stimulate your immune system and teach your immune system how to respond to a disease. Instead, what this immunization does for newborn babies is it gives them the antibodies immediately. So they don't even need to develop that immune response. They just are given the protection from RSV. So there are lots of different options for RSV. Not everyone's going to need it, right? Healthy people who are not pregnant, that are younger than 74, probably don't need it, but something to be aware of. And you can always, if you're unsure of your risks, talk to your healthcare provider. One other thing I'll mention is it's safe to get all these vaccines at the same time. So if you have insurance, going to a pharmacy is a great way to go. They have COVID. Almost all pharmacies will have COVID, flu, and RSV vaccine. You can just get them all at once. If not, there are other options, and I'm happy to get into that if you don't have insurance.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Brenda Collect, for joining us. It's one of the strong navigator and also program contractor, with the King County in the South King County. Look like we have Lupe Talamoni. She has like the game set, like time out, also the coconut time. Lupe Talamoni, please, thank you so much for being patient. But it looks like I only have 17 more minutes. At this time, I will ask our radio engineer, just to give us a little 10-second melodious song, and then we'll go on to Lupe. And then we'll have anybody that wanted to ask a question, just feel free to raise your hand, any relevant question, regarding about the vaccines, since we have the Deborah Belina, from the Sierra and King County, and also Kate Cole.
And I know there's something's wrong. Every time the DJ decides to play, it's go up in the air.
Are we supposed to be dance?
You can dance the COVID away. Yeah, go Kate, go Kate. Islands, without food or no music, it's not gonna be fun. Okay, we'll be next. Look like we have 10 people on the Zoom today, and I'm gonna ask Lupe Talamoni. Hi, Lupe. Lupe, please introduce yourself.
I'm Miss Sylvia. Hi, everyone. My name is Lupe Talamoni, someone navigator for King County, also serving out South End. But thank you so much for the platform. Appreciate it for the contract collaborations and also the network. I really, really admire for the work that you guys do because of we have so many PIs that really need of help of understanding for the different vaccines, that it's helping them up so they can educate that more. That is very important for them, so that they will be aware of for the kids going to school, and as also for the well-being of our young ones, so that they will take control of the healthy living styles. I really appreciate for that work. And I thank you so much for the opportunity, and I apologize. Yeah, the coconut time fell on the wrong side. So I'm really sorry for the errands that falling at 3 and 4, but I appreciate you all for your time. Thank you, Miss Sylvia. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. What is the question that you wanted to ask regarding in reference about the vaccine?
Yes, my question that I wanted to ask is, what's your takeaway? What's your takeaway for the parents, especially for the single moms, about the vaccination for them, the non-believers for the vaccination, that though they could be aware of, and then be proactive, that there is something that it's really help them out in the future. With all my respect.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a big question. I would say that our lives are complicated, right? You mentioned single moms. There is so much to juggle. You are thinking about when you have a young baby, are they getting the right food? Are they getting the right sleep? What about this rash that they have? And what about are they developing at the right, are they meeting their milestones, right? There are all these things. And then you're thinking about paying your bills and juggling all of your own responsibilities. Like, we are all carrying a lot, regardless of where you live, who you are. We are all have full plates. And I think of vaccines as something you can take. It allows you to take something off your plate. It allows you to lift a worry and put it aside, right? And say, at least this is one action I've taken where I don't need to worry about my kid getting a disease that could bring lifelong disability, that could affect their ability to learn as well in school, could affect their opportunities in life, like that could potentially kill them, right? Rare, but it happens that children die of diseases that vaccines prevent. So if you can, by going to a doctor's office, going to a community clinic, spending a few minutes, fortunately in Washington State, not having to pay anything, if you can give your child all of that potential back that could be, and instead of letting a vaccine preventable disease steal that from them, what a relief. That just gets me more sleep at night. I can just go to bed knowing, hey, I did this one thing. Maybe I'm messing up in a bunch of other ways. I'm sure I am. And maybe I'm missing other details, but I did this, right? I did this for my kid.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That is taken by the heart. Because some of the communities, for growing up and witnessing out for the nurses that goes to the villages, and we kind of miss that advocate and outreaching that always deliver the vaccinations and the different kind of vaccination in time for the time of and the season of what kind of illness that passed on. And it really helps in the life of children growing up. And, witnessing it, it's really, really for me, it's a blessing to say, because it really helps the work very lighten up for nurses, and of course the parents and single moms, that they are supported and they are being taken care of, and there is help, and there is also hope to help out for them, that to see the unforeseen things that it needs to be. Appreciated that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, just all the respect for the single moms out there that are making it work, right? Thank you for doing the work you're doing, Lupe, to support them.
Thank you, Lupe. Well, it looks like we only got 10 more minutes, and we're always on time. So we're wrapping up, like whoever asked, I wanted to ask the next question. Oh, Saini, I know you have another question. Go ahead.
Yes, Deborah, if you would please, since the beginning of the program was the emphasis is on the vaccinations for school children. If you would please tell us again, so that we can translate for our community, what are the required vaccinations? What are the required? I know you've touched upon other recommended vaccinations for people of various ages, but if you would focus just on what is required for school-age children, and also as a second part to it is what is the consequences if they do not receive or go get these required vaccinations. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. I also am going to put a link in the chat to a chart that lists the vaccination requirements by age. But for kids who are in kindergarten through 12th grade, there are 6 vaccines that are required. So one is the measles, mumps, rubella vaccination. And you need to have 2 doses of that by kindergarten entry. That protects you from all 3 diseases, right? Measles, mumps, rubella. There's a requirement to also be vaccinated against, to have the DTaP vaccine. DTaP by the start of kindergarten as well. That's for diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Pertussis is another name for whooping cough. Another requirement is varicella. This is a vaccine that protects you against chickenpox. Another one is hepatitis B. And the final one is polio. I mentioned six because when you get to 7th grade, there's another requirement to get a booster shot of just like the DTaP vaccine you got as a younger kid. This is a version for older children and adults called Tdap. And that protects against the same diseases as DTaP. It's tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. It's just a different combination of like the strength of the vaccine is different for that better suits the age. So those are the vaccines that are required for K-12 school. And then
COVID or updated COVID vaccination is not required at this time. Is that right?
It's not. No, COVID is not required, nor is flu. But they are very strongly recommended.
Yes.
Other vaccines that are not required, but we really just as strongly recommend are the HPV vaccine that protects against human papillomavirus, and that prevents lots of different kinds of cancer. So it can prevent cervical cancer in women, it can prevent anal cancer, penile cancer, oral pharyngeal cancer, meaning cancers of the mouth and throat, lots of different types of cancer. And that's recommended for kids starting at age 9. And it's if you get it early, if you get it on time, rather, you only need 2 doses. If you get it later, you need 3. And another vaccine that we strongly recommend for kids, though it's not required, is meningococcal vaccine. And that's recommended at age 11 or 12. That prevents meningitis, which is a swelling of the lining of the brain. It's very rare, but it can be very devastating. So if families are thinking, what does my child need for school? It's the ones I mentioned, the 5 vaccines that I mentioned for kindergarten entry, and then the later and during and COVID and flu, and later in adolescence, getting the Tdap booster, HPV, and meningococcal. You also asked, oh, sorry, go ahead. You may be muted. No, okay. You also asked about what happens if you don't, what are your other options,
Yes.
or what happens if you don't get vaccinated? Okay, so these are requirements, but you can choose to submit what's called an exemption. So for the required vaccines, if a family does not want their child to be vaccinated, there are a few different types of exemptions. And exemptions are basically saying, I'm passing on this. I don't want to do this. The 3 types of exemptions are: one is called a personal belief exemption. And that just means getting vaccinated or getting this particular type of vaccine doesn't match with my personal beliefs. And that's available for all vaccines except MMR. You cannot use it for the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. Then another type of exemption is called a religious exemption. And there you can use it for any vaccine. And it means, it doesn't match with my religious beliefs. There's a medical exemption, which means that it is in combination with my healthcare provider. It's decided that this would be the risks of vaccination would outweigh the benefits, that this wouldn't be a safe decision for my child at this moment because of a medical condition. There is, with all of these, you need to get a healthcare provider who's licensed in Washington and fits certain criteria that the State Department of Health outlines for that provider. You need to go visit them, and they need to discuss with you the benefits and risks of vaccination, and then they fill out an exemption form for you. There's one exception to that. If you are part of a religion that doesn't believe in using healthcare systems, for example, perhaps Jehovah's Witness or another religion like that, where you don't typically seek care from healthcare providers, you can fill out a form on your own. It's called a religious group exemption, and it means that you haven't consulted a provider, but you are part of this specific religious group that doesn't seek care in typical healthcare settings. So that is an option. And nobody's going to get forced to get vaccinations. This is not, a requirement, just means that this is the expectation. But at the end of the day, it is a personal decision, and everybody needs to make the best choice for their family.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Deborah, I know our time is limited. We only got 3 more minutes, but I know Brenda Kellett is wanting to ask another question. Go ahead, Brenda. We only got a couple more minutes to go.
Thank you so much, everyone. And Sylvia, no, this is not a question. Everything that Deborah, you explained, it's really clear. And I just want to invite any of this team, if you want to come, there will be a Marshallese office. They're going to have a ceremony on this coming Saturday, just in case you don't have anything to do. Come and see me dance and eat good food. And it's on Warehouse there.
Please post the information on the please post the information on the status box, so everybody can see that.
And I think the time is in the afternoon, and of course we're always Highlander time. It was nice talking to all of you and meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, we're coming to the end of our program. It's 1:58 right now. I know I didn't have a chance, to ask the question, but all of you were able to communicate our question. Thank you so much to our Tongan coordinator, Strong Latu Huakau. She's very supportive, with a lot of our younger generation. She worked a lot with them. And so glad that you're here today to spread the word about the correct information that coming directly from the King County. Saini, anything that you wanted to add on? And thank you, each and every one of you.
No, other than thank you very much to the King County Public Health. Pea kia tau kainga tonga ko programa ko na fai he hotani ko fra mama fai mai anga hi hu tu oni ko pau ke ma he fa na wiki me he daycare kinti o au ki olunga ke high school anga hu ke he ono e ka wai hu ki he mo hu ki he kona hu ke tai loloa hu polio ngai hu tu oni ni pa pau le va ko ke lava ko o ma ngai hu ni o ku free before kia me office secretary pe ko me public health pe wiping I form ke hanga fill out ke hanga fra fonu pe ko ke tui ko ki ai pe ku wa ha tu whakaloto whipaki a moia, kai ke he waipenga he whonga ke pera paupe te whima whakaiki ki whamure more, wha tu taki mai ke re te o, ke Silvia taimi aho, ke ne whakahoko kat ki mautoro. Malo au pito. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Saini. That's before. I'm so sorry, we always do that all the time. But just like maybe just take like a 30-second of your time just to say something in your native language. I'll give it to Tiara. Tiara, a manager of Pacific Islanders Health Board. Go ahead, Tiara. Unmute your, yeah.
Oh, thank you. أنا رغوي سلام ما أمسرت library الألسيلز أصغم من قمص بقى translations الألسيلز أجي من صادر required vaccinations or other long school ما سمعني غريب من كده legal vaccinations نسبق من comment الفيديو ما الأبن سبق من connect with us. سلام, thank you.
Thank you. Pastor Aseli from the islands of Fiji. Pastor Aseli? Okay, while we're waiting for Pastor Aseli, we'll switch to...
King County, and I can the vaccine maybe on one in the kindergarten, on 12 graders. You have been attacking information, Kevin and Drevi. Department of Health, na workers ni health department na kena wana numi na paundri tel tungana nonda dula kina nonda dose tali kina do very weekend na sa na COVID vaccine. So kibakai binakati na information sa tigo berto na tambana ni mbula sa tigo talanga berto na Pacific Health Wellness.
Thank you. And the next is the Samoan, Lupe Talamoni.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you very much. Ia whaftai lava mo le avanoa o tātou mātua o no au o mātua wa tātou whānau. Ia alolofa o tātou tausi o tātou whānau. A whia ne polo kalame fsosoani. Ia I tātou tausinga o alon whānau. Whamania pere tua tātou maftanga. E me se I alon whānau mo atai au. Whaftai Sylvia.
Malo lava. And the next is Alinda Alik from the Marshallese Islands. Alinda?
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
So I have to say in my language?
Yeah, just say something in your native language to your people about the vaccines, just like 30 seconds.
Okay. Yahweh Aleph. Awe kumiro niya kayo dyan na POS Pacific Broadcasm. Kumul we te barong ko ba pen public health King County. Yung pagmelo dyan vaccination ko ang antro. Yung kuro ni yun mero yung rolim chukulong. Parayin wat COVID yung mero ko dyan ng air. Kaya baro wero dyan na air na ang imi yola. Kumul dada.
Thank you so much. Alinda also is from the one of the navigator from Pacific Islanders Health Board. Okay, and I think we got pretty much everybody, unless if I missed out anybody. Latu Huakau from the Tongan community. Latu, I know she's working a lot with our younger generation. Latu, are you still in here? Yeah, go ahead, Latu. Please unmute. Well, we're pretty much kind of wrapped up. It's about like 4 minutes after 2. And like I said, a lot of time we just kind of go over like it's normal, it's Islanders coconut time. But thank you so much, Deborah Belina. Thank you for putting up this great information, for us to learn from. And also these are relevant information, that we need to share with our Pacific Islanders community abroad. Because without this information, and you allow us to ask questions that is something that we know that's a normal question, common question that coming from the community.
Yes, I just want to thank you. Sylvia, you are such a leader. You're amazing. You're out there advocating, informing, educating, organizing. It's wonderful. And I always enjoy the time that I get to spend with you all. I've had the chance to do that last flu season, last year at this time. And it's a great way to spend an hour. So thank you so much for making time for us today.
Yeah, also we both thank you, again, I'm Sylvia Fatima Aho, and thank you also, Kate, for allowing us, to continue for the sponsored and for the big support from the Seattle and King County Public Health. Without you, supporting this, we won't be able to inherit all this great information. Also, my co-host is Saini Puloka. She's a retired director from the Seattle City Center.
Thank you. Have a good day.
We have a radio engineer doing a great job, for making us to be connected. It's Devita Unahefa. Thank you, everyone. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but that was kind of like a big number today. We have Latu Huacao, Pastor Sally, Tierra, Alinda Alec, Saint Puloka, Brenda Kalek, and Lupe Talamoni. And I hope I didn't miss out anybody's name. Just Lydia Tangungu. We'll look for you, Lydia, for our next program. Thank you so much, and we're just waiting for another program that's coming up in a month of October. And we'll keep you all posted, so we can get all this great information, that we can get access to with the King County Public Health, for our community. Thank you, everyone. We'll have this tosso. Yes, Saini? Say thank you to Deborah and Kate and Kate Cole. Do a little dance, exercise, so we don't have to do the vaccine. Ball Gala, a second anniversary dinner, dance and great prizes, raffle tickets, celebrate. So it will be on October 12, 2024. October 12, that is a Saturday. Ko ato naki o ka topa o tahawa wa no wa fa. Fa fe et ki modol. Ko e fu upolo ko ni. Fa atu pe te falata atu pe mohono katoa nga. O fa ko fokia I he Fair Rose Palace Banquet Hall. Ai ko toa sila pena mautuka ti e ata. Tahataha o no Noah North Kramer Boulevard i Anaheim, California. O ko kamata be I he taimi ono o lele ke tahawa midnight. Ai a koi papa hia pe koi whakalata atu panga pe valnoa pe koi panga valngea u ka whaitakonga fulu kia te pile. Au ki panga pe valnoa kake hau alu whakatahe tina pe moe ngahi alu pe moe raffle pe moe ngahi price keke pe moe toe tuisi papa hia moe hula hula koi polo whakalata ia koi nau mau tukwa tuia I he ata kia ki motolu ko ia whakawhi ia tiki motolu whe pia whitu mo mea mai mea ai mo mea hange to taha pe e tau whitau lagi ka koi whakalata atu whoki o ana moto ai te moto ki wha ise isa ha mo whanonga tala noa ka koi tai mi peni mo me ange ke tau kau whataha I he ahu whalata koe ni pe ko whitu take hanga tonu mai pe au kia Brenda no se vai fia Twitter Brenda Twitter ko telefoni whitu taha wha tolu oua no aua hivaua Fito tahafa tolu oua no aua hivaua. Please contact Brenda Twitter. 714 is the area code 322-0292. Area code 714-322-0292. Please call Brenda Twitter for the big black tie ball gala. That is the second anniversary dinner, dance, and great prizes. So please come and enjoy. This is the right time for you. Don't feel sorry when you're missing out. So this is the whole purpose of the black tie ball is to impact the lives of students in Tonga. So we're doing all the way to to have something to help out the student in our native beautiful islands of Tonga. Ko uhinga ia tau mua o e polo ko ni ke ma'u hasenit ke tokoni ke si whanawako ko ia I Tonga. Tu I mai ho foi molo pe ke hau ko o villa ta motu atuai. Ko ia o katopa au tahawa ia wanoa wafa. O whaho ko ia I Fair Rose Palace Banquet Hall. So the address is 1160 North Kramer Boulevard, Anaheim, California, 92806. Kamata be tai meono ke tahawatu apo 6 p.m. till 12 midnight. The ticket is $80, but you can always call Brenda at any time. 714 is the area code 322-0292. Anything that you wanted to put in, please join us in a formal attire to support the students in Tonga. Whetutaki mai leba kona mau tuka te pe I he atai whika telefoni pia mo e whakaikiki ko Niponi Alumni USA Chapter. Niponi Alumni USA Chapter, please join us. Have fun. Come over and let all have fun. Once a year, take some time to come and enjoy. This is the time, for you to show support for the students in Tonga. Ko e ta e te pene ki whai whasi ko e ni. Haka whai whasi ko e a Tonga. Ilo pe koe kolo koe e malata ko tau whoke kau po uri I he whamiri ko ia o whaiwhe kau an te mahavea mo lea tu ahono hoa o whaanga. Te mautoki o hate whai kiki e polo kalama ko ia a pongpongi. O mau kore whamore mole at peheni o ku kei whai pe kia e ngau e whamiri. Ka ku o hate e pe mo e popaki whie kau ngā mamahi au pito ke loto whare o whaiwhe kau an te mahavea I he tōtau o Anapalu aho nima. Havea. Ko e taha ine whae whalau maari e ke Saswesiliana tonga I Amerika. Ko toko tahani na ne whai oskia velenga ai ne ngā we o hoko ko toko taha. Ko e whae whalau maari e pia ne hoko pe whoko e whae I loto whale o e whamiri pia mo e whae tari kakai lele ke toko taha ko tope. O kuaonga whoka e mawai mo toko tahani. O mo one tau lea tonga o pehe ma pake wha kau ke alaha pe. O ko ongo tei me mawai. Ko le to pe kai ngā tonga ko toa pe mo mea mai. Pe ko whē pia whītuk mo mea mai ki ai. Ko e toki o atu a hono whaikiki. I hono tukuange mai me he whamiri. Ai whakaiki ke o polokalama o pekia. Ka te tau mui pe ki he nau whotutuu. Pea whai pe mo e lotu mo hu whekina. Ko e ngā ko te waki o whakaiki heka o mea whaeki o ana palu a o nima havea. Whola wā kua ke tāu ko e mo loto langi. Ka tuku pe ke mau whanau ngātu e wā I hala me taimi ki tāni te. Ko ia ko e toki whaiki ke o polokalama e toki o atu ia pa mo e toenga o e ngahi whe mau e whamiri e nau whaiki ke o e nau polokalama ke nau mea whaiki pia mo e mea whaiki o e putu. Ko le peheni ke tā e toki whaihi mi koe ni. O 544 naki pe. 544 naki pe ai pule ai otua. Poko e karistiane owa e loto sii. Karistiane owa e loto sii. Ko tau hipe a Sihova hega I tau tue noa.
In a mysterious way.